Hey guys, and welcome back to the Game Not Game podcast. My name is Green, and with me, as always, is my co-host Zen from his channel Zen and Cyrene. How you doing, Zen?
I am doing okay. How are you doing today?
Very well. I'm very excited to hear about what kind of developments have been happening in the Japanese novella scene.
That's the weird thing
Let's
about
go
this.
over. Let's go over to novella correspondent Zen and Cyrene.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
scoop.
yeah. From the weird light novel desk here in Tokyo, Japan. That's where I am right now. Yeah, I wasn't even expecting this to be a recurring segment, but here we go. Exciting news from the Japanese light novel scene. Let's see. As you know, as we've been discussing over the last few weeks, Japanese light novels are extremely popular. One big subgenre of those light novels are what are called isekai, which are novels in which a teenager or some boy usually gets transported into some kind of fantasy world. And as we've discussed at length, there are all kinds of weird, like super specific preferential stuff of those books. Like if you want to read a book that about a boy being reincarnated into a female elf, that's probably a book out there for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, because of how popular and how saturated this genre is becoming, at least one publisher, Kadokawa, which I'm going to say because the news article doesn't say, this is actually a pretty big publisher, has, for its upcoming light novel contest, banned both the isekai genre, again, this is the genre in which some person gets transported into another world, and also teenage protagonists, right?
Yeah.
So this basically, for this particular label, which they're calling Novel Zero, and they're going to call this, the theme of this label is the lifestyle of cool adults. Okay, that's what they're expecting.
The lifestyle of cool adults?
Yeah, that's the theme, I guess, or the focus of this particular publishing label.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Japanese as fuck.
It really is. So because of that, they have started the contest. It's called Entertainment Novels That Adults Want to Read. That's the actual name of the contest. And submissions in any genre are okay, except alternate world stories. And this is the part that's weird to me. The main character must be an adult male, so specifically a man. Like, I don't know why not a woman. But
yeah, that's a little weird.
That is weird. But I mean, the rest of it is basically a knee-jerk, or maybe not a knee-jerk, but definitely a pushback against all of these, like, fantasy boy that's thrown into another world thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see how this works out at the moment. The article also says that since that genre, the one that they're excluding from this contest is so popular, they don't see why the publisher might do that, except maybe anticipating that one day these people who are reading these light novels where they are enacting a power fantasy where they get to romance harem girls and kill monsters, maybe one day they'll grow up and then they'll see the value of light adults for cool adults, or light novels for cool adults, I should say.
Well, surely what they're doing is like imagining that there's people out there who are fed up with all this shit and just want to read a normal story.
Yep.
And we'll see if that gamble pays off or not. Like the idea of banning the alternate reality story meme makes a lot of sense to me. Banning teen protagonists is a lot more sweeping.
Yeah.
That's and especially requiring an adult male protagonist is a little weird.
Yeah, that is the part that's weird to me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Anyway, so we've read the last ever alternate reality stories. There will probably never be somebody again writing about a sentient hot spring that naked women can climb into.
What's weird to me though is that I'm looking at the webpage for this novel contest, the actual contest webpage, and it is the Novel Zero label, right? But the illustrations on it are of a fantasy elf and a fantasy thief guy with a snake around his arm. So,
well,
I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, you can still write a fantasy story in which the protagonist did not warp from normal reality, though.
This is true. This is
You
very
can just
true.
write a fucking just a fantasy story where everybody's from a fantasy world.
Game of Thrones. It's full of cool adults, as we all know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a story about cool adults.
Yeah.
And that's what Novel Zero is trying to foster.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't specifically ban fantasy novels.
Yeah, not at all. No, they're only. It seems like they're very specifically against the idea of teenage dude from modern times suddenly and inexplicably gets warped into a different universe in which he basically becomes a Mary Sue.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, fair enough.
Yep. I will say that genre is getting more popular here in the United States.
Really? I haven't read
It
one.
actually is. I've been keeping
Okay.
an eye on publishing trends. And it's
Of course
I
you
think this is up and coming in the United States actually.
have. Okay, well, burgeoning writers, get on this. Start reading translations of Japanese novels so you can get ahead of the game here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead of doing the hot spring one, I don't even know what would be the equivalent of that here. Like not a bathtub, that's not sexy enough.
A jacuzzi, obviously.
Like
Oh man, yeah. A kid in Hollywood dies when he was like in line to meet a famous movie star, and then he becomes that movie star's jacuzzi.
No, I've got an even better one actually.
Okay.
Right. So here we go. A kid, well, an 18-year-old kid, so that's legal. Here we go, right?
Okay.
Dies in an accident, or college student or whatever dies in an accident, and he's reincarnated as one of the bathtubs in Hugh Hefner's Playboy mansion. And he is responsible for bringing the Playboy brand back to its former glory.
Wait, so the bathtub is?
I guess, maybe he gives advice to the playmates who are soaking in the bath.
Right. I'm just imagining like a crowd of businessmen in suits around this bathtub, and like, what do we do, Mr. Bathtub? We're in dire straits. He's like, bring me bath salts.
It's the new Oracle of Delphi.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yep, get on that. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if Chuck Tingle is really writing this.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's already writing everything at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh man, I hope that Chuck Tingle's his review. Well, I hope he's never reviewed because he needs to keep his anonymity so that he can keep doing what he does. But if he's reviewed, I hope he's some really important politician, because that would be funny.
He's probably Mike Pence.
It's Mike Pence.
That's why he loves
my
horses
God.
inside him so much.
Oh no. Yep. If Chuck Tingle was Mike Pence, I think I would like this timeline a little bit better.
Yeah. Me too.
Yep. Since we are still on Japan, I wanted to also talk about probably the worst game idea I've heard of, at least this year. And
Okay.
the game is called Genkai Toki Kaso Panzers, and it is for the PlayStation 4. It's under development for PlayStation 4. And the
Nice.
two
So it's the new
things-
Persona.
It's a new Persona, yep. Well, there are a couple of things that jump out of me, right? First of all, the protagonist, his name is Alex Wright, and I keep thinking that this is the name of a protagonist of some series of novels here, by James Patterson or something. I want to say so. James Patterson, by the way, is the richest author in the world. Well,
I didn't know
think,
that. Huh.
yeah, I think rivaling J.K. Rowling, or even more than her. He
Wow.
makes $80 million a year just from his books.
Dang.
It's
From the
insane.
Alex Ride series.
Yeah. Well, maybe not this Alex Wright, because in this game, Alex Wright somehow, quote, gets his crotch stuck in a device after running away into the ruins to save the princess. After listening to a mysterious voice in the ruins, he signs a contract that allows him to use a powerful castle, but he must also collect underwear for it.
Oh, so it's a panty raid game.
I don't know what it is, honestly. It sounds like a Japanese light novel, to be real honest with you.
It really does. I love the idea of a castle that just has this insatiable thirst for women's underwear.
I have no idea.
I assume it's women's underwear. I might be completely off base here.
I'm assuming so. I mean, I'm guessing that the target demographic for this game is, hormonal boys.
Right.
But can you summon a penis demon? Though I Warrior is asking. I don't know. Oh, you're talking about. That's a reference to Persona, actually. Okay, I get what you're saying. Japanese games, people. That's that's the only reason why I know this.
We'll have to see what the late game abilities of this castle are. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that Alex right here still has his crotch stuck in the device.
Right.
It's a box for washing his junk. No.
Maybe the final boss is a penis demon that's summoned from Alex Wright's own penis, and then he realizes that he's been the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, that penis demon is a manifestation of his own desire.
That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Well, actually.
It's symbolism. This is going to be a really deep examination of lust and the human condition.
Exactly.
Also,
oh, God.
You'll get to level up breasts and butts for the girls. That's a direct quote from this article. What's up, Amperfrost? How's it going?
Hello, Amperfrost. That's a thing that I don't even understand how that happens. Like, why? I don't know if I want to know.
I understand how it happens. I even understand why it happens. There's nothing about it I don't understand. I was gonna come back around to a part I didn't understand, and then I realized no, it all makes perfect sense to me.
So
it's like gamifying sex. The better you do at the game, the more of the game you play. It's not even the better you do, just the more of the game you play, the better butts and boobs you get to look at. It's really genius, actually.
Gamify everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't he level up his penis though?
Hopefully
right?
he can. We don't. They've got to hold something back for the main release. That's probably the surprise element of this game.
Doi Warrior says that leveling bus is the goal for one of the games I've seen on Silicon Era. That is actually where I got this news from.
Okay.
Silicon Era.
This is probably it. This is what you read about.
Yeah, and it seems as though this is a series that basically the series of games. This is not the only one. It's all like this. It has a quote-unquote chest growth system where their breasts grow or shrink when players pinch, grab, and poke them. Oh my god. Using the Vita screen. And larger breasts somehow result in higher attack power and defense, while smaller breasts are for higher speed.
Wait, so this has like dual plat PS4 Vita support, where you hook your Vita up to your PS4, and that's how you level up girls' breasts by playing with them?
I don't know.
This is maybe the best push for Vita sales I've ever seen. I'm just gonna say that.
God, I don't understand how this is. Well, I mean, I do understand teenage boys, but I guess it got popular enough so that basically what we are talking about when we first started this segment is actually a sequel. Oh no, it's the fifth game. Oh my god, it's the fifth game in the series.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
I'm really curious what the like plot of the previous games was. If now at this one we're at this guy just rescuing an unnamed princess. He just it runs into into the ruins to save the princess, and then gets his crotch stuck in a device. Also, what the fuck is happening there? I want to see this opening cutscene.
Yeah, we don't have the cutscene yet, but yeah, let's see if we can remember to watch it in the future and
Yeah,
report
I
back.
bet that's really good.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's
man. Well,
that's a game from Japan.
yeah,
it's,
so future game of the week. Keep your eyes out.
Oh God.
Actually, I don't own a PS4, so probably not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do own
This
a
is
PS4,
not the game
but
you were thinking of. There's another game out there with breast leveling.
oh no. I feel like we're falling down a rabbit hole that we shouldn't be falling down into now.
Our new podcast, Boob Not Boob, in which we talk about leveling up breasts in the burgeoning genre of breast leveling simulators.
I bet that there's a dating game podcast somewhere. That has to be
probably.
true.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yep.
We're gonna be more specific than them.
Yeah, we got to niche down, man, in order to find riches as content creators.
Exactly.
God.
Oh man.
Well,
So-
speaking of rabbits, you have a rabbit story, right?
Oh, I do. I was about to make a different segue, but that one's fine as well. So in Second Life, hilarious MMO where you can do anything you want, which mostly involves making an extremely weird-looking character and having sex with other people. From what I've seen of Second Life, I don't know if that's a correct characterization of it, but it's a weird MMO in that I don't know how much gameplay there is. It's a role-playing sandbox basically. And one person was in charge of a company where they were making quote-unquote breedables, which are these little bunnies that you can have and breed, and you pay back to the guy who made them some money for food, and then you feed your rabbit, and that's how the whole thing keeps going. So basically, for every rabbit he sells, he gets a renewable source of income because you have to keep on paying him to keep your rabbit alive. And if you don't feed it for 72 hours, then it goes into hibernation. Unfortunately, this guy is suffering a cease and desist letter. I'm not sure who from. He didn't really specify who is asking him to cease and desist. He disagrees with the terms, or with the fact that he should have to cease and desist. However, he does not have the capital to pay for a lawyer and everything. Lawsuits are expensive. So he's just going to have to back down and stop producing these rabbits and selling food for them, which unfortunately means that all of these rabbits are going to die. Yeah, he's sold hundreds of these things, and people have these rabbits, and they're going to find that they cannot get food for their rabbit. With a few exceptions, there are some rabbits that have achieved immortality through microtransactions, as one does. You can pay to make your rabbit immortal, and those ones do not. They become sterile, so they can't reproduce like normal rabbits can, but they also don't require food for upkeep. So that's the trade-off there. If you want to breed rabbits, you have to keep on feeding them food. But if you just want to have a rabbit, you can pay a little bit more to get one that won't starve to death. So those are soon to be the only left of their race. These immortal rabbits that can't have children are going to be the only rabbits left in Second Life.
When you describe it that way, it sounds like something out of The Witcher.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they sound like Witcher rabbits. I mean, witches are not immortal, of course, but there's some kind of transaction took place. Now they cannot have children, but they are essentially immortal.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty similar. All that's going to be left is Witcher rabbits in Second Life, and then gradually those will fade away as people who own them are going to stop playing Second Life over time, as happens. So they're slowly, this population of immortal rabbits will dwindle until rabbits are but a myth in Second Life. So, unfortunate, sad story from the Second Life world.
I want to know what exactly that cease and desist was for, because
Me too.
Yeah, rabbits aren't copyrightable on their own, so which element of it?
I'm almost wondering if it's a Second Life thing, like if Second Life doesn't like the way he's profiting on their game somehow. Who knows? But he did not say, so we can only guess. But what seems most likely is it's something related to Second Life and his business model's intersection with Second Life.
Right.
So we'll see.
Second Life has been like this thing that's, given me entertainment I've never played it, but every once in a while I just hear news about it that makes me go, huh.
Yeah, it's great.
You know?
I remember when I was in high school, I had a friend whose dad worked in robotics, and he was like, he had all of these really exciting ideas about the future, and I believed him because his dad worked with robots. And one thing was like they were working on holograms where you could have a holographic screen instead of a physical screen, and like a holographic keyboard where you just put your fingers through the keys and it works. And those actually do exist, but they suck. But he had a lot of ideas like that, and he was really excited about Second Life. Second Life had just come out at this point, and he had started playing it, and he was like, dude, soon we're going to have like a holographic version of Second Life. You're just going to stand in a room and put a little cube in the middle, and then you're going to walk around in Second Life, and it's going to be like real life and awesome. And I was like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. He never actually showed me Second Life. If he did, I would have thought it was hilariously stupid, but from his descriptions, I thought it was pretty cool.
People actually thought it was going to be the future, right? I know, believe it or not, NPR actually had a bureau in Second Life at one point. And I know this, it's true, I'm not kidding about any of this.
So at first I thought you were talking about holograms were the future, and then you said NPR had a bureau in Second Life. My brain had to shift gears so hard to understand what you were talking about. And yes, Amperfrost, you can use this podcast as primary news. We talk about everything important, which means we don't talk about politics as much as we can. So you only get the good stuff here at Game Not Game.
Yep. But it's true though. NPR, for a while, they were broadcasting in Second Life and taking questions from Second Life avatars for some of their talk shows.
That is fucking hilarious.
It is.
Hi, I'm Furry69. I just wanted to, like, what on earth? Dude, if you walk around in Second Life, like, I've never done it myself, but I've watched videos where people do. There's just fucking, like, weird people in like, what looks like fursuits if they weren't suits. Just walking down the street, all over the place. It's almost all that.
That sounds like the worst Kickstarter pitch ever, what you just said. It's a fursuit, but it's not a suit.
It's just a fur.
Yeah, it's $1 million for an invention that just grafts fur onto your skin.
Oh, God.
Well, stay tuned, everyone. Second Life is our game of the week next week. No, it really isn't.
Dude, that would be so good, though.
We should do it one day.
Does Second Life have a subscription cost or something?
No, it's free.
It's free?
I mean, there's a premium subscription, but to sign up is free.
I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
Yeah, let's do it.
We should just walk around Second Life. I'll make Garfield.
I'm not sure about streaming it, to be real honest with you, though, because you just never know what you're going to see in Second Life.
Well, surely people stream Second. I'll have to look into that. But if people stream Second Life who aren't me, then I'll do it too. Because like, we're not gonna intentionally stream porn, and there's plenty of people stream The Witcher 3 and shit. So
true.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm up for this. You can make your Fur Not Fursuit podcast. Look,
man,
I bet that I'm not going to do this, obviously, but I bet that if I could find a way to graft fur onto people with no rejection, I would be rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yep. So that is excuse me. That is our Second Life / whatever the hell I was talking about before update. Oh yeah, rabbits. We were talking about rabbits. I forgot about that.
Rabbit update concluded. Anyway, speaking of anime, you and I watched the new Castlevania trailer.
Yes, we did. The Castlevania for Netflix. What do you think of it?
It actually looks pretty good. So, Castlevania has released this trailer. I think it's actually a very good trailer. It starts off with somebody walking into a room with an NES and a really cool looking NES cart, and they put it into the NES, and the old CRT TV shows Netflix, and then shows a screen where you can select from all of Netflix's original series, and they choose Castlevania, and then it turns into an anime.
Yeah, I'll be very honest with you. I skipped past the entire first part because I was very much into thinking, okay, is the animation bad or is it good? And it looks good.
It's pretty good. It kind of reminds me of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
In terms of the animation style, not the content at all.
Yeah. Although I will say that animation, at least in terms of, it's hard for me to say this because Cowboy Bebop is phenomenal, right? But just in terms of the animation, it might be better.
It's more modern for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's Cowboy Bebop type artwork, but with modern animation techniques.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I wish I had Netflix. I don't, but if I did have Netflix, then I would totally watch that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to check it out when it comes out. I don't have Netflix either, but I know some people who do, so I can just. Netflix is really nice about letting you use your stuff on multiple computers, so I can just ask somebody if I can use it on mine.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, Netflix is going to reach this critical mass in which I'm just like, okay, fine, I'll resubscribe to Netflix, But it's not yet.
I don't watch stuff enough for it to be worth it, Like,
Me too.
It doesn't. I just don't spend that much time watching things that are on Netflix.
Me too.
But every once in a while I want to, and then I'll borrow somebody's account. Like I watched House of Cards until like season 2.5. It was pretty good, and then it got pretty crazy, as do a lot of TV shows as they get into the second, third season.
Yep, and now they're going to ramp it up even more. Dory Warrior says, wouldn't it be some shit if the Castlevania series was just some glorified trailer for the erotic violence pachinko machine? That, number one, erotic violence sounds awful, but number two, how did that concept translate into a pachinko machine of all things? Right.
I've never played pachinko, so I couldn't say.
So think of it like this. I've never played it before either, but from what I understand, pachinko is this. You've watched The Price is Right before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know Plinko, right?
No.
No, it's that one game in which somebody drops a ball from the very top of the huge structure or whatever, and it kind of bounces around a bunch of packs until it goes into a certain price area.
I have a vague memory of that. Let me qualify. I've watched Price is Right. I've watched an episode or two or three total of Price is Right in little chunks, and it was a long time ago. I was never an avid Price is Right viewer.
So, and I might follow up on pachinko machines actually now that Dora Warriors has brought it up, but I think it's something like that, and in Japan this is incredibly popular. For one thing, these pachinko machines, and they also serve as a stand-in for gambling. Like gambling itself, as we know it here in the United States, is illegal in Japan for casinos and stuff. But you can redeem prizes from these pachinko machines, if I understand correctly, and that more or less serves as kind of the proxy for actual money, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to look this up more because clearly I don't know much about pachinko machines, but they're so popular in Japan. People are addicted to these things to the point of unhealthiness, and then it's just one of those things that hasn't really made it over here. Probably a good thing in terms of how addictive some gambling machines can be.
Yeah. In my brain, pachinko machines are just like slot machines, but there's a ball bearing involved, and that's pretty much all I know about it.
Well, you got the ball bearings part, right? It's like hundreds of ball bearings.
I wasn't avid. I wouldn't be embarrassed if I had watched Price is Right. I was just explaining why I have no fucking idea what Zen's talking about, because I haven't watched enough to be able to recall with clarity the types of things they do on Price is Right. I've just watched it a little bit.
Konami made a Castlevania pachinko machine, says Dora Warrior, that's super sexualized, called Erotic Violence.
There you go. And dude, oh man, yeah, it's gonna be like Yu-Gi-Oh, but but they're gonna just be all about playing this fucking pachinko machine and doing really well at it.
You mean if they made it an anime or something?
They are making it an anime.
Right, but
That's what the anime is gonna be about.
Oh, right.
This Netflix series is just gonna be a fucking season-long advertisement for the erotic violence pachinko machine.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking Dracula and shit. What's the guy? What's the guy's name? The main guy in Castlevania.
Simon Belmont.
Belmont. It's gonna be just Dracula and Belmont fucking facing off, like trying to do better at the pachinko machine. And Simon's gonna be like, I believe in the heart of the pachinko.
I believe in my balls.
Yeah, and Dracula's gonna be like, it can't be true. How could he be so good?
God. Oh man. Yeah, Konami is just taking its IP and just making gambling machines out of it, as you know, which is kind of sad.
Yep. Yeah, I know there's a Metal Gear Solid one that's probably going to be the final installment in that series.
The Metal Gear machine once it knows what are the pachinko machines you played on.
I see you like erotic violence.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we're talking about Psycho Mantis, of course. The character who can read the other games that you're playing off your memory card.
Drops ball. Ugh, he's fast. It's pretty good. Oh man, anime's good.
When was the last time you've been to a casino here in the United States?
I don't think I was 18 yet. It's been a long ass time.
It's been a couple of years since I've been to a casino. I don't gamble, but it's a cheap vacation, let's put it that way. So
Totally. Yeah.
So I went to Reno. I've been to Reno a couple of times. And the diversity of the kinds of themes that you find on slot machines is quite something. So I want to say that I've seen some video game themed ones, like from Japan, you know, that instead of being a pachinko machine, it's a slot machine, right? That doesn't surprise me at all.
Totally. You try to line up the 3 Mario faces.
I would be amazed because I don't think Nintendo would like that at all. But it wouldn't surprise me if Konami was doing that. I have to go back and look again.
Yeah,
they wouldn't call it erotic violence though. Not in the US.
Not in the US. No, I think that's a Japanese title for sure.
Oh god. So, that's that for Castlevania. It's coming out. When is it coming out anyway? Did they say?
Let's see here. Coming to Netflix in 2017. No release date.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
season
fine.
1 launching in 2017, season 2 in 2018, they say. And as we all know from, any time we've ever tried to follow any media, that means that probably late 2017, but maybe early 2018, season 1 will come out, and then season 2 will be sometime in 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, animation, well, especially at this quality, animation is not easy to produce.
It is not.
No.
Yeah, and people and fucking marketers are always so excited to tell you how quickly they think it's going to come out, and it's never true.
Yeah. And I really hope that it's not one of those things, because this does happen sometimes in animation, unfortunately, in which they blow all their budget on the first, 3 episodes, and everything else looks like, I wouldn't say The Simpsons quality, but a noticeable step down.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes are going to be, super high quality, and then it's going to turn into a fucking Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
God. Oh man! Oh, I forgot. Speaking of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, to look up the Flintstones reboot so that we can talk about it.
Oh shit! Oh, I totally forgot to.
Yeah.
Well,
so I
soon.
will try
Remind
to
us.
remember to do that.
Bug us about it, viewers.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to talk about next?
You seen what's going on with Far Cry 5?
Fuck. Yes, I've seen what's going on in Far Cry 5. It's a thing, all right. Why
It's
don't you
really
tell
a
us
thing.
more about it?
So unfortunately, we're talking about this on Thursday. Friday, they're supposed to be releasing like a more full idea of what's going
Oh,
on, but
okay.
they've put out some teasers for us in the present here. And most recently, they've shown us that so it's gonna take place in Montana, and it's going to be about a weird Christian religious cult that composed of gun nuts in the United States, which is a really weird departure from kind of what Far Cry has always been, and especially what it's been recently. Because Far Cry 1 was about like mutants or some shit. I don't even know what Far Cry 1 was. I've never played it. And then Far Cry 2 was a really interesting story about a guy in Africa trying to track down a criminal leader, and he contracts malaria and has a really rough time as a result of that. Then Far Cry 3 is just about some fucking stupid American kids going on a vacation on a paradise island and then getting kidnapped and having like this one kid turning into a fucking god of combat somehow through a magic tattoo. And then Far Cry 4 was about a half Indian guy going to India and trying to, basically doing Far Cry 3 again. So this is a huge departure from especially the recent Far Cry games. So it's interesting. We'll see. I'm interested to see what we find out tomorrow when they release more complete information. So far, people are already really mad. There's a really good tweet circulating where somebody was like, "Oh, not brave enough to do Islamic extremists," and it's like, dude, have you never played Call of Duty? Like, that's ground that's been covered.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, remind me to come back to that later, so that I don't cut into a discussion of Far Cry 5. But
Sure.
But I found this extremely interesting because Far Cry 5 is actually, for my count anyway, the third major-ish game that has come out in the last, or has been reviewed in some fashion or another in the last few months that involves backcountry America and extremists or
Oh
crazy
yeah.
people, right?
There's also Outlast 2 and what else?
Resident Evil 7.
Oh duh. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's interesting because those other two are horror games, which seems to fit better. Because Far Cry games in the past have been all about like you can just do fucking anything. You can just like take a rocket launcher, blow up an entire building, whatever. And they've had settings where it's like, oh, you're in some weird out of the way third world place controlled by a dictator. So it kind of was at least plausibly believable, or what do you call it? You could suspend your disbelief enough to say like, oh yeah, that would work. If you did that in fucking Montana, the police are gonna come to your house, or not your house, but they're gonna come and see what's going on. So are you gonna be killing a bunch of police officers in this game, or are they just not going to exist? So that's the weird thing to me.
Yeah, it's going to be a sheriff, and every time he shows up, the theme from Deliverance plays. I don't know if that works in Montana. It'll probably be more like slow steel guitar, like twangs.
I've never been to Montana. It looks really pretty though. I had a friend
Me
who
too.
lived in Montana.
Yeah, I've heard that it's really beautiful. So that's one plus for the setting right there.
Yeah, they released a really good looking trailer where first they just showed a bunch of wilderness that looked super beautiful, and then they showed a guy ringing a church bell ominously, and that was the whole trailer.
Right. To me, I think it's really interesting that we are seeing a whole bunch of games that play on this theme, though, on similar themes. And I don't want to say that it's because of Trump, because these games have been around, have been in development for at least a year or two, even though that's when... Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence either that people are suddenly thinking about this theme and going back to this shared theme as a way of exploring something, right? Whether it's some kind of unconscious like uneasiness with what's going on in America or what, I don't know.
I think it is partly that. I think people are becoming aware that America is kind of becoming less of a stable place than it used to be. And also I think that's coinciding with people just getting tired of, other settings.
That's true. I mean, especially for Resident Evil 7, I think you can argue that the subgenre of horror called Southern Gothic has been around for a very long time. I mean, look at something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to me, again, that this is starting to come back into the forefront again. And we might see more of this, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to see I would like to see Just Cause do it. Just play up the absurdity of it all.
Or Saints Row.
Saints Row. God.
I think Saints Row did kind of do that.
They did kind of do that, except
Saints Row
it wasn't 4, urban.
Saints Row 4 opened on you climbing up a nuke and disabling it and then falling into the Oval Office off of the nuke.
Yep, I remember that. Saints Row 4, I actually do need to play more of that game.
It was good. I felt like I feel like I played just enough of it because it was starting to get repetitive. Like, it kind of really is just the same thing over and over again, but the thing you do over and over again is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Man. So yeah, we will tomorrow, or by the time you watch this or listen to this podcast, we will know more about Far Cry 5. And we'll find out if Montana has malaria or not. No, that's not going to happen. But
oh man, what if they brought back the mechanic of your protagonist has malaria just randomly? That would be hilarious.
Oh no, we're calling it cabin fever now. That's a thing.
There you go. Cabin fever.
Oh man.
So anyway, you want to talk about Gwent?
Yeah, let's talk about Gwent.
Yeah, let's get Gwent. Get it? It's like get bent, but Gwent.
Get Gwent.
Get Gwent.
No.
Got Gwent?
Well, that joke is maybe I'll put it out of its misery.
Yeah, it was almost as bad as Gwent.
Ooh, here we go. No, actually, before we talk about that, let's give it a little bit of background. So, for those of you who aren't aware of The Witcher 3's Gwent, because there are a bunch of you, of course, who have never played The Witcher 3. Gwent is a side game inside The Witcher 3 itself, in which you are playing cards against another person, and you run around the world in The Witcher 3 collecting cards by beating other people or just buying them out of a shop, right? Now, it was so popular in The Witcher 3 that the developers over at CD Projekt Red decided to make it a standalone game. And that standalone game has been in closed beta for a number of months now, until, I want to say yesterday, as of this recording, Wednesday, in which they released the public beta of the game for the first time. And so Green and I played it for about a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half, to try to check it out.
Indeed. Yeah, so Gwent, it follows a similar model to something like Hearthstone in that it's a free-to-play tradable card game. And it does, it's hard to understate how popular Gwent was in Witcher 3. Some people just stopped playing the game for hours and hours and hours just to play Gwent a bunch, which is hilarious. I never actually got into it in the game, which is maybe part of why I don't love it in this form. But it's a good game. It's a solid game concept. And I think it has a lot of execution problems right now at this stage in the open beta, which is a beta, so it's possible it will get better. But
yeah,
as of right now, I think it's pretty bad. And I that's a pretty unpopular opinion from what I've seen.
Well, let's talk about problems first, and then let's talk about the things I read afterwards. Because I did go pop into a forum thread to see what people were saying. The problems we encountered are this. Basically, the game has become much more complex than Gwent was in The Witcher 3, and this is on top of the fact that Gwent does not play like Hearthstone or any of those other card games that you might be accustomed to at this point, seeing there's so many of them, right?
That I actually like. It's a very unique tradable card game in that it takes almost nothing from Magic and Hearthstone. That's good.
Right. Right, and actually, when I felt this playing the non-standalone version in The Witcher 3, and I imagine it's even better in when playing against another person. Gwent is about bluffing. It really is about bluffing and mind games.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. The issue was that we couldn't really get to that part when we were playing it against each other because there was a lot of things that were super confusing that weren't properly explained or even indicated at all in the game. The documentation is sorely missing in terms of, for example, the keywords. There are no tooltips except in battle. You can't look at it in your deck collection, so there's no way to understand what the mechanics do until you get into battle them and look at those tooltips, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a similar depth of knowledge you need to play Gwent as you do to play Magic or Hearthstone. However, Magic and Hearthstone both teach better than Gwent does. So with Gwent, there's a lot of trial and error and finding out that how you read a card is in fact not how the card works.
Yep, and even worse, and we encountered this for a particular card, or you had the most problem with it actually. A particular card was supposed to summon a biting frost, or whatever frost, I don't remember, out of your deck. But it never said anything along the lines of, if it's not in your deck, it won't do it at all. Nor did it give any warning messages like, if you do this, because all your biting cards are in your hand rather than the deck, nothing's going to happen. Is that okay with you? So the game doesn't say any of it, and it just left us sitting around like feeling confused about what the hell just happened that my card didn't work. Right?
Yep. Yeah, and that was a repeating trend. There were just over and over and over again, I would play a card and be like, why didn't anything happen? And we'd have to puzzle it out over the course of experimentation and trying again and seeing like what the hell was going on. And that feels really bad to do in a competitive game, to just kind of like experiment with your cards to see why they aren't doing what you think they should. So yeah, like in a game like Hearthstone or Magic, the card text being very precise and accurate is a really fundamental part of that game, because if it isn't, it's impossible to play because you don't know what's supposed to happen. And I feel like Gwent in its current form could not exist as a physical game for the simple reason that players would never be able to agree on what cards are supposed to do. The rules are ambiguous enough that you can't tell by reading a card what it's actually going to do, what the programming is actually going to make that card do.
Right. This is actually a big problem in not just in Gwent, but in actual board game design and card game design.
Totally.
Because at one point I was looking up board game design documents and card game design documents. I was thinking about making my own card game, right? And a lot of veteran card game makers will say something like, get someone to go in and edit, read over your text and edit it for clarity and precision.
Yeah,
right.
Get a fucking lawyer to read your cards, because otherwise your players are gonna take it upon themselves to rules lawyers your shit. Your shit.
Yeah. Get a rules lawyer to do it for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like if your card text is ambiguous, then that means every person who plays that game is going to interpret that card to mean what's best for them, and people are going to get into fucking fist fights over it. Or in the case of Gwent, people are just going to feel fucked over when they play a card thinking it's going to do one thing and it doesn't.
Right. So that is the biggest problem with Gwent right now, in that it is quite different from other games in a good way, but at the same time the onboarding process for new players is just kind of fucked right now because of all the issues with the UI and also the documentation, the copy text.
Yep.
Right.
Also, I just had weird UI problems, and I know you didn't experience this, but at one point I was like, I had a card selected, and then I tried to read one of your cards, and my card just played itself. And it's shit like that is unacceptable in a game. Like I had a number of times where I couldn't make the controls do them what I wanted to, or do what I wanted them to do, and that's extremely frustrating for obvious reasons. Sorry, go ahead.
I suspect that a lot of the problems there, and I think this happened to me to a certain degree too, because at one point I tried to launch a cow and it seemed like it didn't. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that? I think
so, yeah.
Again, the issue here probably is that the game needs some text somewhere that says, please do this, or please do that, or don't do this. or you
Yeah.
cannot do this, right? There's none of that really.
Yep. Yeah, I really agree with your idea of warning messages. Like, if you're going to play a card that, for example, makes another card in one row and that row is full, then it should tell you, yo, this isn't going to fucking work.
Right.
because as it is, you can play that card and absolutely nothing will happen. And you'll
Right.
just be like, so I just wasted my turn and a card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And the game tells you nothing. Like no explanation.
Exactly, and the
whatsoever.
game doesn't even explain it. You have to suss out for yourself why that happened based on, going back over the card text and being like, well, what if it actually meant this, or what if, and it's not like it's clearly meaning that. It's that it means that, but it didn't say it precisely, so you didn't know.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So the thing is, and I realize that this is kind of an unfair comparison from the get-go, is that I've also, and we talked about this in a live stream yesterday, I've also been playing another somewhat obtuse card game, at least for beginners, right?
Okay.
And that is Yu-Gi-Oh! And
Yeah.
yeah, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm playing it on mobile. I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which is actually a variant of Yu-Gi-Oh! Simplified, believe it or not, for mobile players. And the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that it is obtuse, right? I don't want to go into the details here. Have you played it? Did we talk about whether you've played it or not?
I
Yu-Gi-Oh?
have not. I watched the anime when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah, so you know that there are all these arcane rules then that in order to summon the 6-star monster, you have to tribute 2 of your lower monsters. What's a tribute? I don't know. And then after that, if you want to have a quote-unquote fusion monster, you have to special summon the fusion monster by playing a polymerization card and 2 fusion monster cards, which are their ingredients, in order to make it come out. Right? So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And I know I might have gotten that wrong, Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans, but essentially it's that level of just plain like obscurity that we're talking about,
just
right?
obtuse nonsense.
Just
You
obtuse
have to know.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason I kept playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm probably not going to keep playing Gwent right now, even though I actually like the feel of Gwent generally, is that for Yu-Gi-Oh! Having had more development cycles in the public sphere than Gwent currently does, a lot more, they have, they have this huge, like, hey, let's go to school system. We're going to teach you about each keyword one by one. Every time you learn about this keyword and play it for yourself in this setup scenario, we'll give you a little bit of in-game currency, right?
Yeah. Gwent
Right?
needs something like that for sure.
Yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually, I feel like, a pretty good comparison in this sense because it shows how you can onboard new players correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. And again,
Yeah.
it's not a fair comparison because, again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami has had all these chances to refine this onboarding process. But it worked for me, somebody who still honestly doesn't like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card system that much, but am now chasing a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links for God knows what reason, right?
Yep.
Gwent needs that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like Gwent. It feels to me at this point like in the stage where they've just entered open beta, Gwent has made a very, very good, complex, balanced game. Probably, I couldn't say that for sure because I haven't gotten to that point, but it has the feel of that. It feels like they put a lot of tweaking into it. And then they've focused almost not at all on the onboarding process, like you said. So I feel like in this open beta, what they need to be focusing on is something like what you said would be great. Just a series of tutorials or some way of better explaining things, and also just tweak the card texts. Just make your cards say what they mean more precisely than they do. And with those two things, I think Gwent could be a really strong competitor to, Hearthstone and Shadowverse and all those guys. Because it is, like, it's very refreshing because it's a totally different style of gameplay. The really neat thing about Gwent, one of the things I like most about Gwent is rather than it being one prolonged battle, it's there's 3 rounds in Gwent. And if you win 2 rounds, then you win. And that means that you can, it's a viable playstyle because you're drawing from the same cards this whole time. So it's a viable playstyle to play really defensively for a round, not really get much done, but then conserve all of your good cards and just kind of lose on purpose, but make your opponent use a lot of cards to beat you, and then just beat the shit out of them the next 2 rounds. And so the depth of strategy, I think, is fascinating. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out in higher level games.
Right. I mean, that's exactly, you nailed it right there. You know, it is all about trying to make your opponent overextend themselves. Well, it's not all about that, but a good part of it is doing that.
Totally.
Right. And from what I understand from reading forum threads now, people see that people who have gotten past these issues say yes. Absolutely. When you play against human players for Gwent for the first time instead of playing against the AI in The Witcher 3 itself, yes, there is a lot of strategy and nuance involved, right? Mm-hmm. It's just that there are other players in the thread also that had the same issues that we are talking about today, in which is thinking, okay, well, you know, I like the idea, but there's just so much stuff I have to, like, there's so much in the way of me getting to this promised land of strategic death that I don't know if I want to keep on at this point, right?
Yep. Yeah, at this point, I can't. It makes me too mad playing a card that I'm pretty sure I understand based on reading it, and then it doesn't do what I expect. That's a character flaw in me more than anything, but I get pissed off when the rules aren't clear.
Right.
So I'm very much looking forward to hopefully them sorting that out, and then maybe we can revisit the game at some point.
Right. I'm going to quickly mute my phone, which I should have done.
No problem.
Yeah, while I'm doing this, what I'm going to say is that for me, you know, I don't get mad at games generally speaking, but for me the issue is this, right? I'm a person with very little time. You know, if I wanted to play, I asked myself after the stream yesterday, right now, if I wanted to play something like some kind of collectible card game, it would be Shadowverse at this point instead of Gwent.
Yep.
Because it's just, I already know the rules.
You understand it, yeah.
I understand it. I never had any issues learning Shadowverse, and I can just jump right back into it and get into some games, right?
Yep.
And honestly speaking, I liked a lot of what I saw in Gwent. You know, the artwork is phenomenal. I really like the art. The music is great, and you can even change it to the Witcher 3 like tavern music if you wanted the classic Gwent feeling. Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's real good.
Yeah. The game, if you put aside the issues that we're discussing for a while, the actual like look and feel of the game is good, right?
Yeah, totally.
Just needs that extra, like, sit down and read everything and go through one more time all the card text and get it right.
Yep.
And put it in a tutorial.
Yeah, it feels like teaching new players the game is something they've put little to no thought into. Like, there is a tutorial, but it's very basic. It's only for basic game flow, nothing at all to do with specific cards and specific like things that cards do, which is, you know, I feel like that's a big lack that they just haven't gotten to yet, hopefully.
Right.
You know, because it's a big job making a game and they're only on open beta, so sure.
Right. And there is a campaign coming soon, etc. So
that'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be big. Yeah.
So just to let you know, by the way, after the stream, I went back into the game and I went and looked at the other quote-unquote challenges, right? Okay. The tutorial is presented as a challenge in which you can, if you pass the challenges within, you earn some in-game currency. And there are other specific challenges for the various factions, you know, like Nilfheim and Skellige and stuff. And I thought maybe that's where they would explain some of the things that are specific to his faction, but that's not the case. They don't.
No. Okay.
Yeah, which was disappointing to me because I was thinking maybe it is hidden in there somewhere.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I did, without looking around the game too much, I went directly from finishing the tutorial to playing against Zen. So, yeah, you know.
I will say at this point, again, I've played, I don't know how long, like 10, 15 hours of Gwent in The Witcher 3, maybe. You know, until I just got sick of it and quit, basically. And the standalone Gwent feels almost like a different game. There's some... this is unfortunate, right? Right now, the game is at the point in which Gwent players like me will feel that it's different enough to confuse me. But new players coming in do not have the few but very important concepts that are carried over from Gwent, such as gold cards, right? So it's kind of like this almost like conjunction of confusingness that's happening right now,
Yeah.
right? So again, you know, Gwent maniacs will feel like, you know what, I'll get through this. I'll learn this. I'll spend a couple of hours. I really want to play Gwent against human people and have a load of fun doing it. And that will happen. From what I understand, that will happen. But it's just so opaque towards newcomers and even Gwent people Gwent players from The Witcher 3 that right now it's going to be really hard to get into.
Totally. Yep. So hopefully this is ironed out at some point during this open beta. But for right now, you know what? Gwent is free. I'm not going to say I wouldn't recommend trying it out, but I will say you'll probably be, mildly to severely frustrated depending on your temperament.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good game in there, and I think it's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. As for me, despite everything I've said, I would still recommend trying it out. But with a big asterisk, just keep in mind you're going to come across a bunch of problems that you will probably have to say, okay, well, I'm going to have to go look it up somewhere else on a forum or something to understand what's going on, like the keywords which are not properly explained, right? Yeah, so if you have the patience and the time to get through that, you'll probably find a very deep strategic game in there, probably deeper than most likely deeper than the Gwent in The Witcher 3, seeing that in The Witcher 3 you only ever play against AI. But if you're super busy like I am, I can't say I recommend it right now. Only do it if you're willing to set aside hours of time to understand what is going on in the game, and you don't mind, and you can't wait until a proper tutorial is implemented.
Yeah, but honestly, probably the best course of action right now is if you can wait, just wait until the full release comes out.
Yeah,
because I'm sure it's going to be a lot better then. This is a beta, and games do betas so often now that players kind of have lost sight of what a beta means, I think. True. Largely, but betas are not finished. So, if you want a polished product, maybe wait until full release. But if you're willing to suffer through some frustration, then the beta's out now, and it is free.
Yeah. Also, one more thing about this part, actually, to balance it out. I'm going to say might, because this happened for the closed beta. I got some rewards for being in the closed beta. Maybe you'll get some rewards for taking part in the open beta. I don't know. But since I got some rewards for taking part in the closed beta, there's a possibility for the open beta too. So that's also a thing you might want to consider.
However, people's card collections were also reset who participated in the closed beta. Instead, they got an equivalent number of packs to open again and re-randomize their collection. So if that would bother you, losing access to cards that you had before, then it's possible that will happen again.
I don't know if there are any more resets actually for Gwent, but these kinds of games, they do reset every once in a while. Just generally whenever there's a beta. So yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they reset when the full release came out. I also wouldn't be super surprised if they didn't, but who knows.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. It's okay. Gwent,
yeah.
Yeah. So exciting news for our next game of the week. Fallout 4 is going to be free to play this weekend. If you're watching this on Sunday, unfortunately that's probably about to end, but you might still be able to get some time in. Also, you should follow us on Twitter so you can see news like this. But hopefully you found it out yourself. That's going to be next week's Game of the Week. We're going to play some Fallout 4 and talk about it. So if you are interested in Fallout 4, then you should play along this weekend and get your own impressions in, and then we can all talk about it together next Thursday and Sunday, depending on if you watch the VOD or the live stream.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I am excited to go back into Fallout 4. I haven't played it. Oh my goodness, it's almost been a year actually since I last played it. So it'll be interesting to go back in and see if anything has changed. Maybe I will try the DLC actually. That might be a different thing because I do have the DLC. I just never played it because I'm dumb.
Oh man.
Yeah, but that might be interesting to talk about too.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, so next week on Wednesday, we're going to be back here on twitch.tv/green9090 live streaming some Fallout. Zen will hopefully backseat me a little bit so I understand what's going on. And
yeah, I hope
we'll
I can remember.
Next Thursday.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, do do come back and rejoin us for the for discussion/stream, and you're on Green's channel. Be sure to go over to twitch.tv/green9090 because you've been missing live streams if you haven't done so already, and check him out there.
Also, if you haven't checked him out yet, check out youtube.com/Zen and Cyrene. He plays video games on the internet. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing an especially weird one right now. It's something about being a psychiatrist and maybe Cthulhu somewhere. I don't know. I'll find out more as I play. Maybe.
That looked really weird. What is it, Doctor what?
The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker.
Dr. Decker. That's right. So yeah, go check that out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.